Okay.
Good morning to everybody here today. As the proposition, we are here to tell you that we support the right to die. Let's define what we think the right to die is. So, um, that means the concept of people choosing whether or not they want to continue their life or put an end to it, end it. And for reasons we'll discuss further in a few instances. So first of all, we can look at four cases of ways to end your life like in a knowing way and not natural death. We've got the voluntary euthanasia, non-voluntary euthanasia, involuntary euthanasia, and suicide. So we would only support two of those, being voluntary euthanasia and suicide. We support, and I'll start by defining what all of those are and why we support voluntary euthanasia and suicide. So, voluntary euthanasia is basically the way of terminating an illness or incurable pain. And because of that, people will ask for their life to be ended, or just because they don't have the will to live anymore. Um, so they will not be undergoing life prolonging treatments and things of such kind, or they will ask for medical help to end it and unplug them. Non-voluntary euthanasia is when the person who is supposed to give the consent is not available, either if they're in a post-coma state or in a coma state, or if they're young children and they don't know what all of that means. Then we've got involuntary euthanasia. That is basically when the person who is supposed to give their consent, even if she's available, they don't ask for her consent to end that person's life. And the last one is suicide, and I think that everybody knows it. That's when someone um, end their own life with no medical support. We chose to support voluntary euthanasia and suicide for multiple reasons. So we'll say that our way of supporting voluntary euthanasia would be with creating a department specialized in that for the entire country in place, because and that would basically consist of an office with psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, social workers, and doctors who would get together and find the best way to help people end their life. So after giving their consent, um, we also support suicide in case of the person who chooses to end her life, not wanting, her family or other people to know. And we strongly suggest that that person does it in a safe way, if you can say that. We do know and note that multiple religions and beliefs don't allow either euthanasia or suicide, but that is up to the person who wants to do it to choose and be aware of that fact. So our first speaker will be supporting the fact that people should sometimes are too weak to end their own life, and that's why they would prefer for it to be not only prefer, but they have to be assisted by someone else, whether it is a doctor or anybody else. So that help is necessary. And that is why we think that voluntary euthanasia is a good way of providing that to them. Then we have our second speaker who is going to talk about the fact that we have to respect people and their choices, because it is a fundamental right for humans to have the right to live. We should also be able to give them the right to die. That goes both ways. So about, so let's start with a mind that is saying that we should, if people want to receive that help, give them um, a medically assisted way of ending their life, because that help is necessary or desirable in case of them being too weak and without their strength to be able to do it themselves. And we have to know that if that option of, ending your life in a secured way and being helped by other is not available, they might commit it at an earlier stage in their life, before it gets even like at the breaking point or the harder point of their life. And just because that they'll do that just because they know they don't have the option to do it later on, and with help. And also, some, just by a personal choice, for a personal choice, might prefer the help of trained professional to do that, for it to go in a smoother way. That's why we believe that all people should have the right to decide